Alright, welcome to a 1v1 game in between DauT and Kasva over here. The map is Mongolian Heights. On the left side of the map, we will have DauT as blue Holy Roman Empire. And on the right side, we will have Kasva as red Rus. This is an interesting civilization matchup, mostly because you don't see a lot of Holy Roman Empire in high-level gameplay. So we didn't really have a lot of games where we had Holy Roman Empire versus the Rus, so I'm curious about how things are gonna go. This is one of those matchups where both civilizations have very good early economies. The Rus, of course, because they can get the extra gold from killing the huntables and, of course, building the hunting cabins. Whereas on the other side, the Holy Roman Empire will have an amazing economy because they have access to the prelates. Now, the map itself, Mongolian Heights, as you see, the players are separated by one river. This river in particular has two river crossings only, so this could make this map quite stalemate, if I may say so. There is one market on each side of the river, and you see there is two relics on DauT's side, two relics on Kasva's side as well. There's actually a third one over here hiding behind that deer icon. There's one sacred site on each side of the river as well. Both of those are pretty close to the river. And we do have some fishing ability here in the middle. Not an awful lot of fish, and it's kind of spread out. This is probably the best place to fish up here in the north. But if any player wants to fish here, that's a possibility. Kasva's got a beautiful hunting cabin over here on this wood line. Look at the amount of trees incorporated. Even with the first bounty level, he actually has 35 gold per minute income from this. So once he gets some more gold from those huntables, this gold trickle will be absolutely amazing from this hunting cabin. This is such a perfect hunting cabin here for Kasva. Meanwhile, for DauT, he is using the prelate to bless the villagers on the food. You see that he is so successful blessing them on the food that he's nowhere close to what he needs in terms of gold to feudal age, yet he already has 300 food in the bank. So feels like this eco is a little unbalanced over here for DauT. It also feels like the villagers are somewhat stuck in the town center. Alright, I guess. So yeah, DauT is gonna have to send the villagers in here on the gold, and of course he's gonna send the prelate as well for a bit of a blessing. The villagers that are blessed will gather faster, and once a villager has been blessed, you will have that effect remain there for about 30 seconds. So the prelate can bless the villagers on the gold, go back, bless the villagers on the food, and then go back on the gold once again. So you see, DauT is still missing quite a lot of gold here for feudal age, not necessarily a perfect build. It looks like he's going for a second prelate though. That's somewhat unconventional this early, but it might work out. If Kasva is not playing super aggressive, it can work because double prelates allows him to buff his food income and gold income at the same time, and sort of play a fast castle style build instead. Meanwhile, Kasva moves out to the middle and he does get a couple of fishing ships, which are pretty enormous if you look at them from a distance here. These are much larger than other fishing ships are, the Loya fishing boats. Now the Rus don't need docks to drop off the fish, and that's actually pretty useful when you have these fishing ships in here, because even if DauT brings in, let's say, a couple of spearmen to destroy this dock, the fishing ships, if they survive, they can still continue to fish, because they don't need to drop off fish, so they work just like Khmer farmers in Age of Empires 2. Kasva was able to get to 185 bounties so far, has taken down both batches of huntables on his side. He hasn't taken down the one from DauT on this side, and in fact, I think this one is going to fall into his hands rather quickly. There is another patch of huntables as well for DauT, very far off in this corner, something that Kasva could also yoink, and it looks like Kasva will reach tier 2 very soon. So, DauT is going up with the Aachen Chapel. By positioning it over here, I think he will have both the lumber camp and the gold mine pretty close to it. It looks like it's not gonna be directly, like the lumber camp's not gonna be directly in the range of the Aachen Chapel, but it doesn't matter. What matters is that the villagers that are working on the wood or on the trees will be in the range of the Aachen Chapel, and that's what DauT is gonna have here. So it's gonna be great because this is gonna buff all the villagers inside the circle, including hunters as well, at least the ones that are working on these deer carcasses. So this is actually a very nice Aachen Chapel placement by DauT. Meanwhile, for Kasva, if we look at him, he's going up with the Kremlin, protecting that quite exposed gold mine. So for Kasva, you see that he doesn't have a very, very safe gold mine back at home, so this is the one that he has to work with. And if he wants to go for knights, he needs that gold quite early on, so he was gonna have to protect it, and he will do so by building his H2 landmark, the Kremlin, right next to it. That should protect that gold mine for some time. You see now with all the bounty collected, and he continues to collect some extra bounty, this hunting cabin by itself generates 44 gold per minute, which is pretty decent, I must say. Kasva might build another hunting cabin on the other side as well for a similar effect. It looks like the two players will reach feudal age approximately at the same time. Kasva's got 400 food, 400 gold in the bank, so he can pump out quite a lot of knights early on if he wants to. Since he went up at the Kremlin, he probably will be playing one town center for now, but he's got some extra economy from the fishing boats, and it looks like he's going to start walling off both crossings. As I said, this generation seems to have very, very few crossings. I think in most cases, this map spawns with a little more crossings, usually like 3 or 4, or at least from what I have seen, this seems to be a generation with pretty low amounts of crossings, which means that Kasva can just wall it up, and since he's playing the Rus, his palisade walls actually have double the health compared to the palisade walls of other civilizations, so holding this is gonna be relatively easy. Meanwhile, DauT apparently was mining stone while going up the feudal age, and he's already working on a second town center. This is gonna be very, very efficient over here, because basically every villager that's coming out of it will be blessed by the prelate that's garrisoned in the Aachen Chapel. So you see, all of these villagers are glowing gold from that blessing, and they will get it really fast for DauT. That should be able to compensate for him not having fishing eco, or at least that should be the case. It's not gonna be able to compensate entirely, but it's gonna help narrow the gap between the economies of the two players. It looks like DauT is coming in with a barracks, but he's just gonna bump into walls over here. For now, he was probably gonna make a couple of spearmen to potentially counter the knights coming in from Kasva, but Kasva looks like he's just gonna boom. Now, if he wants to boom like this, he can still send villagers to stone, and he should, because DauT is already on 2 TCs, and if he produces villagers on 2 TCs consistently, he's soon going to take over in terms of economy. But it looks like Kasva might be aiming for an early castle age over here. You see, he already has 1100 food in the bank, plus 300 gold. He's a little low on gold for this, but it's not the end of the world. He soon will be able to go up to castle age, and that would allow him to get a couple of siege weapons out. So it's possible he would go for knights, go for a siege workshop around here, and start pushing DauT's base. DauT for now is just making a couple of spearmen, has a prelate blessing the stone miners, so with that stone mining for DauT, it's very possible we will see a third town center as well. So far, DauT is not really stressing this defense too much, to be honest. In fact, I am unsure if he sees those walls, because the thing is that if you select the player's POV in the current spectating, you can't actually see what they discover. You can only see what they scouted, but you see, even the resources are not showing up that DauT otherwise have scouted. So, we can't confirm for sure that DauT knows about these walls, but it's very possible that he doesn't. He made a couple of spearmen to defend his stone miners, and he keeps adding them, so he's expecting knights from Kasva. Meanwhile, we will have the Abbey of Trinity coming in for Kasva, another pretty aggressive landmark. Because you have two options to go up to Castle Age with when you're playing the Rus. A is the High Trade House, which would be basically a hunting cabin, something that would give pretty considerable eco advantage for Kasva, I would say, in the long run. The alternative is the Abbey of Trinity, which allows you to produce warrior monks. That definitely helps picking up relics, and there is free relics on Kasva's side, so sure thing, it's nice. But you can achieve the same effect, or at least something very similar, with a monastery as well. So I'm not 100% sure if you need the Abbey of Trinity. Usually you go for this building when you are fighting pre-actively and you need warrior monks out immediately. That's usually the case when you go for the Abbey of Trinity. Not really a big deal for Kasva, especially if he collects the free relics at the beginning and then he starts to become a little more aggressive. But I feel like for the current state of the game, the High Trade House could have been a slightly more legitimate landmark to go with. I like how Kasva is placing the hunting cabins though. You see, this one is gonna give him 35 gold per minute trickle. This one gives him only 17, but that's still pretty decent for the investment he's making. In a long game, these will pay off. The passive trickle of gold is pretty massive for Kasva. Meanwhile, he is not mining stone, instead he is going for stables, so he will have knights coming out. In that case, if he wants to play aggressive, I appreciate the warrior monk idea. That I can agree with, especially if you consider that DauT is playing with an infantry civilization. So what Kasva could do is get a couple of warrior monks out, get the relics in, and try to go for conversions on DauT's infantry. DauT is on 3 TCs right now, so his economy should be better than Kasva's soon. Kasva's at 53 vills, DauT is at 48. That's a little surprising. Probably this is because Kasva has made quite a lot of fishing ships, and those count as villagers as well. DauT should be ahead in terms of villagers if we just look at the actual villager count and not the fishing ship count as well. So if you think about the conversions with their area effect, they are most efficient versus infantry units. Because infantry is slow moving, it's pretty hard for them to kill the warrior monk especially. Archers can snipe it off from a distance, potentially cavalry can charge in on it, but infantry could struggle really badly against warrior monks, and it looks like Kasva is coming in to swoop the relics from DauT's side. I like it. As I said, I still believe the High Trade House could have been a better choice for Castle Age, but now that Kasva has gone for the warrior monk with the relic, I actually think it's a good use of it, and he's trying to come in and convert DauT's villagers on the landmark. DauT will garrison the villas inside the town center, and this conversion will ultimately fail. Oh, Kasva? That's actually a little really sloppy. I mean, I understand how he tried to convert the villagers on the landmark, and if it works out, it would have been amazing. But after that conversion failed, he had to disengage, because now he pretty much delivered a relic to DauT right next to the Regnitz Cathedral, which is gonna give a massive amount of gold income for DauT. I feel like it would have been better for Kasva to just pick that relic up and run away with it, because the Regnitz Cathedral is one of the best landmarks if you have relics. If you don't have relics, it's a very underwhelming landmark. You see that the main point of the Regnitz Cathedral is that it generates an awful lot of gold if you have relics garrisoned inside. Imagine that Kasva takes this relic as well. DauT would have had basically no relics if Kasva just picks these up, and here comes the other conversion attempt by the monk. Once you trigger the conversion, I think you cannot move with your monk, so that's the reason why Kasva is sort of not chasing the infantry. And I don't think that he should be using the conversions like that. I think he sort of needs to start sending in army, and once this fight begins, he can think about using the relic. Once again, the warrior monk goes down, so I really dislike how Kasva is throwing away those warrior monks. I feel like it would be better to just yoink those relics and sort of play long game with 5 relics. Because he could have 5 right now, if he was a little bit more cautious with them, and as I said, DauT can just pick up those relics. Why is that monk going that way? I have no idea. I think DauT maybe is planning to convert some fishing ships? Or what? Looks like the knights from Kasva went down to the spearmen of DauT. He's got veteran spearmen in, and he will probably soon get the blacksmith upgrade for the infantry. In fact, he already has it, which increases the movement speed of the Holy Roman infantry. Now, if you're playing the Holy Roman Empire, you can actually play men-at-arms against knights as well. It's not gonna be as good as spearmen are, but they're actually pretty decent if you get the heavy maces upgrade, because they would have +6 attack against heavy targets, plus if you get the 200 weapons, that's also +2 in general, so your men-at-arms actually perform pretty decently against the enemy knights if you're playing the Holy Roman Empire and you grab those upgrades. So it looks like DauT is eventually gonna bring the relic back. And this is why I said that it would have been better for Kasva to just yoink those relics, because now DauT should be on at least 1 relic. Not sure what's the situation with the other, because there used to be a relic somewhere around over here, but it looks like it's gone, so Kasva may have taken it in the end. It's 1 relic garrisoned right now. There's one over here. There was one over here as well. So DauT is gonna be on either 1 or 2 relics, that's for sure. He's going for a defensive keep over here to sort of control this area. The scouts will spot that, but they shouldn't be able to do much. The prelate is healing up the spearman as he's got some free time. So let's look at the eco numbers now. Right now, DauT's at 77 villagers, Kasva is at 66, so despite the fact that Kasva was 1 TC for a while, he doesn't really have a big eco deficit, and here comes Kasva trying to get a conversion in. He tries to lure the spearman into the conversion radius, but that didn't work out either. So once again, this conversion isn't gonna work out for Kasva. He's trying to pull off a massive blob of conversion here on the infantry, but so far that didn't work. Speaking of Kasva, by the way, he's already going up to H4. He actually went up with the High Armory, which is the better long-term landmark, I would say. The alternative is a Spassky Tower, which is a fully upgraded keep that I think also has more HP. But that's nice, but you can sort of achieve the same thing just by building keeps, whereas the High Armory gives you some unique upgrades, and it also affects nearby siege workshops because it decreases the siege engine cost by 20%. Something that comes in pretty handy, and you see, we already have bombards coming out for Kasva. Appropriate response to that from DauT should be Springolds. Even in Castle Age, Springolds will outrange bombards, I believe, as DauT is getting another keep up. So it looks like DauT is just gonna play a very, very defensive game for the time being. He is not going up to Imperial just yet. Now he's dropping a tower on the north, so you might want to just sort of destroy the fishing eco of Kasva over here. A significant portion of Kasva's food income comes from fishing, so destroying these would actually be pretty helpful for DauT. Meanwhile, Kasva has placed quite a lot of hunting cabins all across the map, as we are seeing our red player mining quite a bit of a stone too. So I wonder if we're gonna have a keep on this side of the river as well. Looks like the tower did go up, and maybe the spearman will jump on that lonely Lodya attack ship to take it down. Lodya attack ships aren't super tanky, they only have 400 HP, so the spearman can actually make quick work of them. You see a couple of torches, and this bad boy is almost down at the bottom of the river. Nice positioning there by Kasva though. The spearman can't range it, and oh, that was a beautiful demo ship by Kasva. You gotta be pretty careful when you're playing against the Rus. Their demo ships are very, very powerful. Still, it looks like DauT will be able to sink most of the fishing eco for Kasva, whereas we are seeing a bombard being placed here by Kasva. You see, bombards have lower range than trebs do, but they do a lot more damage against buildings. So a single bombard is actually threatening this castle quite a bit here. And we got some Lodya just fishing boats for now, but ooh, you see Kasva is converting them to demos. That's the unique thing about the Rus. You can actually convert their ships into different type of ships. So once Kasva feels like, okay, I don't need my fishing ships anymore, he can just convert them to demo ships. And now he's got multiple demos protecting that bombard, also some elite knights and a Springald that's missing both roller shadow tigers and also the unique Springald upgrade, the banded arms for the Rus. DauT is up to Imperial as well. And I think he has gotten the maces upgrade as well to his men-at-arms. Nope, not yet. He's just now grabbing the maces upgrade, going for his own siege workshop. Now, here's the deal. Kasva with the knights, he can just swoop in and take down his siege weapons from DauT if he feels like it, whereas DauT's army is very, very slow-moving, and you always have to keep in mind, as DauT pulls the emergency repairs button, something that can be done for the Holy Roman Empire to heal buildings up at a very, very rapid pace. Looks like Kasva wants to fight this one. He's got elite knights versus Castle Age spearmen, so it's possible to win this fight. But there's a prelate healing, there is a castle firing, so it looks like Kasva will just disengage for now. Now, of course, for Kasva against the infantry flood of the Holy Roman Empire, what you want to add is Streltsy. That's by far the best unit of the Rus against this one. He could think about Cav Archers as well, but Streltsy just perform a lot better in the current meta. We have a second bombard coming in. And are we gonna see any Streltsy? I don't see any ranges just yet for Kasva. He's got a market, but it's actually like right next to the neutral market, so trading with it is not really an option. DauT's castle for now is being shelled, but it's a good thing for him to know that he can just press this emergency repairs button, and you see building repairs itself by 150 health every second for 20 seconds. That's 3000 HP. For a 5000 HP keep, that's actually pretty massive. that you can just pretty much fully heal up that building if needed. And also, now you have the influence radius of the Elsbach Palace over here, the H4 landmark of the Holy Roman Empire, which is going to reduce the damage taken on this building as well. So it's only 66% of what it would normally be. And now we have Springolds coming out for DauT. As I said, Bombards have a range of 10, so do Springolds. But Springolds can be upgraded to 12. That's a beautiful demo though for Kasva. Holy potatoes. Now that's what DauT has to be careful about. Because that was like, what, 20, 30 spearmen going down the drain? DauT obviously can't afford that. Looks like Kasva is trying to swoop in with the cavalry, trying to snipe the Springolds so he can actually open up the space for the Bombards. The other thing that he could do, and that's probably the easiest solution with the Russ, is that he can just go for his own Springolds and get the unique upgrade for the Russ, because that way he outranges the opponent's Springolds. Now DauT, being the Holy Roman Emperor, he has access to Culverins, something that can help against the cannons quite immensely. Culverins don't outrange the Springolds, but they have better firepower, and they're an anti-siege siege unit. There is roller shutter triggers for DauT, so he's gonna have 12 range on those Springolds soon. All the knights going down here for Kasva quite easily. Now DauT has elite spearmen in, and for now the Springolds of DauT will just try to snap down those demo ships. You see, there is 12 range as well for Kasva Springolds, but he needs this upgrade, Bandit Arms, for 13.5. That makes the Russ Springolds the best in the game, I believe, simply because you outrange pretty much everything other than trebuchets. DauT actually managed to capture the Sacred Site on the north, which is going to give him a nice gold trickle. And soon we'll have to think about the players trading with the neutral market, because we're entering a stalemate situation here. And that means that at some point the players will start running out of gold. Speaking of that, it looks like no plans are being made for markets being dropped. Kasva's got a lot of big golds, and I think each side of the river should have one big gold, yet I see two big golds on Kasva's side. And I don't see any big golds on DauT's side, so I'm somewhat suspecting that this big gold should be on DauT's side. I'm not 100% sure, but that's how logic would dictate it, because if Kasva's got two big golds on his side, DauT should have two as well, and I don't see any. Whereas if it would be one on each side, it feels like it's just a glitch that we have two on Kasva's side and zero on DauT's side. Obviously, this is a massive map disadvantage for DauT here. He's got a pretty massive food eco, by the way. We're talking about 53 on food for DauT, so he's not messing around. The problem is, how is he gonna cross the river? This is the biggest problem here. Those Russ Springolds snipe all siege weapons. Then there's demo ships to kill your melee units. How are you even gonna get through these palisades over here? And even if DauT had gold, that would be a problem, but without gold, it's just even more frustrating. Now, he's got a neutral market as well, so he can set up trade. But obviously, as I said, I think he's at a map disadvantage right now. Especially because this market is so exposed, it's so close to the water. These ships, even if it's not the demo ships, a couple of attack ships could actually harass trade carts if there is any. And there is the trade being set up by DauT. Meanwhile, we got no less than 7 Springolds here by Kasva, and he's bringing in a Treb. So he's like, okay, my opponent can snipe my cannons from a great distance simply because he's got the range upgrade as well on his Springolds. So I'm just gonna bring in a Trebuchet because Trebuchet has the highest range of everything that we have on the field right now. DauT's got a pretty sizable force of infantry, but that could all be short-lived if they encounter the demos. By the way, not only does DauT not have a big gold on his side of the river, his other small gold is also very much exposed on the front over here. So I'm not gonna lie, DauT's being screwed over pretty badly by the map generation over here. Looks like the knights are actually galloping through the north. DauT wasn't expecting this at all. DauT has no defensive castle here, and you see Kasva is trying to build a forward position. The spearmen arrive on the right side though to clean up the knights pretty easily, and then you got a keep here as well. I'm not sure how much damage Kasva can cause with this, and it's very possible that DauT is just gonna snap those bombards with the Springolds. He is almost done with the first one. The bombards actually do quite a lot of damage to the springolds, and it looks like Kasva will be able to get that keep up, which would deny DauT from that market. Now, can Kasva keep that keep up, though? That's a big question, especially because there is a lot of spearmen coming in here. And while the demos are most definitely willing to sacrifice themselves to take down all those spearmen, I'm not 100% sure if that's gonna help. And indeed, most of the demos go down to the springold fire, I believe. One of them apparently managed to connect, and quite a lot of spearmen bite the dust. But in the end, I think this keep is going to be short-lived. We could safely say that Kasva won't be able to keep this alive. DauT is gonna have another keep here as well. There were some nice demo hits so far, and Kasva definitely did the right thing, I think, opening up the north, as now DauT is gonna dive in on the villagers to try and prevent the repairs. Kasva is making new demos. You see he's got quite a few of them in queue, and if he gets a good connection in here, that's gonna sink a lot of spearmen from DauT. A demo is almost out, and... Oh! What exactly happened there? So first of all, Kasva's got a hole in his wall for whatever reason right next to the gate. Second, the demo didn't trigger instantly. And third, when it triggered, instead of, you know, just dying, the spearman disappeared. Defensive keep coming in here for Kasva now, and now he's the one that has to protect these gold mines. You see, he's dropping one keep, he's dropping a second one as well. And for DauT, it would be a pretty big thing that he prevents Kasva from accessing that gold. I think what's happening, by the way, is that there is no dead bodies when the units die in the shallows. Because there was a demo connection here as well, and all the bodies disappeared, so I'm suspecting that when a demo connects to units that are on shallows, then the dead bodies don't appear. Well, let's see if that's the case. Yep, that's the case. So the dead bodies simply don't appear when the units that are being killed by the demos are on the shallows. You see, DauT is just getting emergency repairs. That's just such a broken thing in general. Your building heals itself for 20 seconds for quite a decent rate. And the recharge time of this one is something like 45 seconds or so. So pretty much you just have to bridge through 20 seconds and you can press that button again. The cooldown on this one I think needs to be increased. This being said, that's a lot of firepower that Kasva has out there. So we're talking about 8 springolds, 2 trebs, a bombard, and you see DauT is being pushed back quite heavily over here. Kasva's at 160 population, DauT's at 177, but currently he is a full spearman. Looks like the springolds of DauT might also go down to the knights of Kasva. Big charge coming in, and now we're seeing Streltsy being mixed in by Kasva. I think he's still missing the rapid movement upgrade. No, he already has it. The double time ability. That's actually pretty helpful for this Streltsy to make sure that you can keep them alive. DauT is swarming Kasva right now with spearmen. He's not messing around. He's got a lot of spearmen in here. The question is, what can they do against Streltsy? Because Streltsy has insane firepower, so they can just deploy and shred spearmen to tiny little bits. Not a huge amount of Streltsy over here, but there is some firepower to back it up. So a lot of springolds, and while springolds are not necessarily ideal against spearmen because they are good against like low amounts of high value targets, that many spearmen still delivers a big punch, and it's just gonna clean up DauT's spearmen. DauT will be forced to retreat over here, and Kasva is crawling up. By the way, DauT's trade cards are also pretty close to the battlefield, so they could go down quite easily. Kasva, by the way, has like 6 food in the bank. In general, there was a moment in the game where he had like 0 on food, like 5 minutes ago or so. Now he's up to 36. So Streltsy looks like they're slowly being ground down here by the spearmen, simply because there's just an infinite flood of spearmen coming in, and I think Kasva needs a little bit more time to reinforce his army, because there's just a longer distance to walk. But siege workshops are already being shelled by Kasva over here, and DauT looks like he's in trouble. Currently Kasva's at 160 population, DauT's at 130. What he could use here is the Landsknechte, because the thing is that the Streltsy are pretty fragile, and they are usually grouped up. Now, Landsknechte actually cost gold for DauT, but the thing with them is that they're pretty fragile units individually, which means that the Streltsy do a lot of overkill damage on them. And once the Landsknecht can actually close the distance, they will deliver area damage on a clumped up group of units. So, in many ways, with that low HP, the Landsknecht actually resembles the Karambit Warriors of AoE2. The cost is much, much higher, but the concept is something similar. If you have a unit that has very low HP, and you have a lot of them, then the opponent's range units will do a lot of overkill damage on it. So, let's say you have a unit that has, I don't know, 50 HP. If your opponent has Streltsy that has 42 damage, that means that 2 shots will do 80 damage, so 30 damage is pretty much wasted. That's the idea of the overkill damage. Now, can the Landsknecht stop this? I'm not 100% sure, because I think Streltsy still beat any kind of infantry. But that's probably the most legitimate unit for DauT if he can afford it. Of course, he might not be able to afford a full army of Landsknechte, but in that case, a lot of Spearmen can actually help bridge that gap, simply because that's the cannon fodder, or, well, rifle fodder if you want to be precise. DauT is soon going to have a keep in his face. He lost his siege workshops, and here it goes. The big infantry charge. A bombard also pops out trying to snap down the springolds, as this could be a costly engagement for Kasva over here, because those springolds could go down really easily. Mostly I'm seeing spearmen, but this might be just brute force numbers for DauT. That castle, I'm not even sure if that castle is going up, because now this is a big infantry swarm by DauT. There is a couple of demo ships over here, so Kasva can retreat to this little causeway, as it looks like that's actually the plan. The trap is also going down here. Demo connecting quite nicely, however, so the Streltsy will be able to hold the bridge. Looks like it ends up being just a longer and longer stalemate, although now we have all demo ships gone, and suddenly the Streltsy will be forced back behind the walls. Talk about an infantry flood. And really, the Holy Roman Empire reminds me more and more of the gods of Age of Empires 2. Just swarming you with infantry. It's crazy. Now, the thing that Kasva needs is some sort of meat shield in front of his Streltsy. That can be knights, but knights will die pretty easily to a spearman, so I feel like, as weird as it sounds, you could make an argument for Rus men-at-arms. They don't have anything special for their men-at-arms, I believe, but at least the men-at-arms don't die easily to a spearman, and it acts as a very, very good meat shield in front of the Streltsy. By the way, Kasva still has access to both big gold mines on the north, and he's wisely taking the one that's closer to the water, because this has a higher chance of being contested than this one, so might as well take it while you can. DauT right now 189 population, Kasva is at 155, so Kasva is struggling with population a tiny bit over here. By the way, chemistry would be extremely helpful here for Kasva, but it's a pretty expensive upgrade. He's getting some more Streltsy out under keep is coming in. For DauT, he needs to get elite infantry tactics if he hasn't gotten it already. I would need to find his university. He's gotten elite infantry tactics, so he's all good, I think. Because everything else is irrelevant for his infantry army right now. By the way, DauT could actually try making a dock and try to contest the water. That would be a nice idea from him. Looks like DauT's got some trading income, but it's very, very minor. So you see, I see like 3 or 4 trade cards at maximum for DauT right now. So he's just full infantry, mostly just trash infantry, like Spearmen and Landsknechte. Well, the Landsknechte isn't really trash, but you don't have a lot of them, so it's probably like 5 or 6 at maximum. I'm trying to find one in the army, if there is any even left. There were a couple of them before that previous battle, but it's possible that they all disappeared. And you see, Kasva's getting some springolds up on the shoreline to snipe down the cannon immediately. Oh, that's an attack ship, not a demo ship, but that was like, okay, just let's make sure I don't die to that ship. Now, he's going to snipe down the dock over here, which means that the infantry can just swarm across the river, and that much infantry can easily destroy the springolds. Kasva is moving his forces up to the north here, as DauT is already shelling that castle. I think that demo needs to be, or that attack ship needs to be destroyed still. It looks like DauT is considering a retreat over here. His cannon are now exposed to the Springald fire, so you see Springalds are taking it down. DauT crawling up with outposts. Looks like DauT might be able to take down this tower before the Springald snipe his cannon. Kasva sending all the villagers he's got to repair, and it looks like it might be enough. It might be enough because all of DauT's infantry has been cleaned up, and just by a narrow margin, Kasva manages to keep that keep alive. That's actually pretty massive. And he will repair it up to full health. And now here comes the counterattack or the retaliation. A massive horde of Streltsy breaking through. There is a couple of defensive keeps here for DauT, and he's not messing around. He's gonna charge him with the infantry once again. He's just trying to grind down those Streltsy numbers from Kasva, but these are extremely inefficient fights for DauT. Like you see, his forces are getting absolutely slaughtered. And you could think about something like a Mangonel against the Streltsy over here, but it's really difficult when the Russ have the Springolds that can just snipe everything from a distance. Here come the Landsknechte, and if you had a good number of these would absolutely slay the Streltsy. But you need a huge amount of them, like 30, 40. And I don't think that DauT has the gold for it, simply. If he had a big gold mine, this game would be very much different, simply because, you know, he would have access to a lot more gold and would be able to afford a lot more Landsknechte. You see, all of these are getting cleaned up. If they can actually close distance and start doing their area damage, they would clean this group of Streltsy up pretty rapidly. Kasva is now pop-capped, whereas for DauT, he's at 123 population. That's not looking good for DauT, I'm not gonna lie. His castle is being shelled by Springolds, and look at this. The Streltsy are just holding position here and just killing everything that comes in their path. DauT needs to regroup and just charge at those Streltsy with all he has, because trickling in infantry one by one isn't gonna work. Now, Kasva may be overextending here a little bit, because you see that he is still not taking that castle down, and a lot of the Streltsy are going down. Is that really a big deal? I don't think so, simply because he's got the economy to replenish those Streltsy. And I mean, DauT is taking way less efficient fights here, but it looks like Kasva will eventually retreat here. Meanwhile, DauT actually has access to this gold mine here, which gives him quite a decent amount of gold. Might allow him to mix in some Landsknechte. I see some men-at-arms even. Some horsemen could also work for DauT. Those don't cost gold. And if you think about it, what does Kasva have against it? Kasva's got Siege and Streltsy. The Streltsy perform pretty decently against everything, but against a decent amount of horsemen, DauT would definitely be able to do quite a lot against these Streltsy here. Kasva's rebuilding the dock right now so that he can once again mix in some demos against the infantry. And I feel like the name of the game for DauT is Horseman. Horseman is one of the best food wood values in late game. It's rather cheap for late game economies, and it's a pretty powerful unit to work with. Now DauT is coming in to take down the Springolds. That could be a cost loss for Kasva if he loses the Springolds out there. But he's just trying to lure the pikemen into the demo ship. Demo ship actually gets stuck in the walls of Kasva, so it won't trigger. And oh, that was beautiful by DauT. He actually sent in one spearman as a bait to trigger the demo, and he made the demo trigger. Holy spearman, now that's a big mass of spears. That's a big mass of spears. Kasva trying to get another keep up here in the middle. DauT is still repairing his own keep. There is no bombards to shoot at it, and as I said, traps don't have a massive firepower. Now that those two bombards arrive, I feel like DauT is going to lose this keep, but he's just waiting for the big flood of spearmen. Right now it's 105 spears. 105 spearmen. Now, one well-placed demo ship would evaporate this entire army, so DauT needs to be extremely careful, as there is a Mangonel being set up here to try and take down the Streltsy. The Springald should easily pick it off, and that's exactly what we're experiencing here, so not exactly sure what to make out of this. The demo actually triggers and kills quite a lot of the spearmen, but DauT is like, okay, no problem, I still have like, what, 100 more? Streltsy pushing deeper and deeper into DauT space. I feel like DauT wants to just do one decisive fight, and as I said, I think he would benefit massively from a dock. Because if he was able to contest the water, suddenly Kasva wouldn't be able to go for demos, and if there is no demos, I feel like DauT has the numbers to just swarm Kasva's base with a million spearmen. Still, Kasva looks like he is establishing a forward position right now, DauT actually losing his houses, so he's now housed. But here comes the big flood of pikemen. Right now, there is no demos out, so DauT will be able to break through the first line of defense over here, which is the Springolds and the Streltsy. There is 2 keeps to take down as one. DauT doesn't have a lot of siege. DauT, however, is taking down the... Oh, the demo was just a little too late, and it didn't kill all the infantry, but it was pretty close to it. DauT right now at 146 population, Kasva is at 171. Kasva regrouping on the right side, about to push DauT's base. DauT has pretty much no resources up here, so it's not like it's a big deal for DauT to lose that part of the map, but obviously he would love to avoid it. DauT is coming in with the spearmen to try and snipe the Kremlin. I wonder if he is just trying to dive in and snipe the landmarks. It would be better with horsemen, I believe. Just dive in with 50 horsemen, Kasva's got a slow army, and take down the landmarks. The Kremlin is here, the High Armory is here, so you're missing the Abbey of Trinity and the starting TC. All of those are within reach for DauT. Looks like he might be able to set the Kremlin on fire. There's a big mass of macemen coming in, and I feel like this is actually DauT's last hurrah. But this could work. Remember, it's all about destroying those landmarks. Now, I don't necessarily like if it works, because I feel like Kasva is still winning this game, and it shouldn't be about, you know, I just run in and snipe all your landmarks type of a play. But it might work for DauT. One landmark is gone. You see Kasva's realizing what's going on. He's bringing in the repair wheels, and I think he's got enough Springolds and Streltsy to hold this. And I feel like, as I said, this is DauT's last hurrah. He's out of wood, he's out of resources in general. He might take a decent fight here, but he's gonna have no resources or tools to replenish his army. So he's eventually just going to lose so significant numbers that he won't be able to replenish it. Kasva's got 7,000 wood in the bank. DauT's got 137. I think if DauT goes for horseman, this would have gone way better. The full spearman flood just didn't work out. Horseman would have been slightly more resource efficient here. You see, a spearman is 60 food, 20 wood. A spearman or a horseman is only 40 food more, but it would give you a lot more HP, I believe. So it definitely has more HP than a spearman does. So would have had the chance to overrun the Streltsy with horseman, especially because horseman would have charge attack as well, so you could just charge in on the Streltsy. And you already see that DauT's starting TC is destroyed. There is the Aachen Chapel, that's the Regnitz Cathedral, and that's the Asbach Palace. Those 3 need to be taken down by Kasva over here to win the game. DauT actually cleans up the Streltsy over here, but there is a new wave coming down south. He's mixing in some men-at-arms, but as I said, I think the Landsknechte is actually a better investment in terms of gold, if you really want to go for gold units from the barracks, because, well, the men-at-arms are good when it comes to fighting against archers, because they have a lot of pierce armor. It doesn't matter against gunpowder units, and DauT taps out. It's hard to evaluate this game, because I feel like this game could have been completely different if DauT had at least one of those big gold mines on his side. DauT actually had a very, very nice hold, but he was just so starved out from gold. If you look at the resources gathered, you see it's double the gold for Kasva. Of course, part of this was that Kasva was able to yoink relics from DauT's side with the warrior monks. That was a nice idea as well. But after that, you know, it was all about the extra gold mines on Kasva's side. Kasva played a pretty good defensive game, and I feel like DauT really needed the cavalry. By the way, I just want to highlight that Kasva killed exactly 1,000 units. DauT only lost 999, so I'm not sure how the math adds up there, but sure thing. Exactly 1,000 units killed by Kasva, but the economies, food and wood, of course, better for DauT, because he could just focus all his villagers on that. But gold is way better for Kasva as well. Also double the stone, so he could make a lot more keeps as well. It was a good game, I feel like. We have seen a civilization matchup that's not actually very frequently seen. And this could have been a slightly different game if the map is slightly better for DauT, or potentially if he catches the start a little bit better and doesn't let the Kasva take Dorlix from his side, or maybe if he chooses to go for Horseman. But one thing is sure, I feel like the key difference maker was that the map was somewhat uneven. Hopefully that actually gets fixed in the near future, because it's somewhat painful to see it in a ladder game, but this would be extremely disappointing to see in a tournament game. Still, very fun game, and I'm not gonna lie, there was something satisfying in seeing DauT flood the Streltsy with like 100 spearmen.